Guys, welcome back. I stand in front of you today in front of my piece of shit Honda Civic that we're doing the wide body on. I call this car the car Hector should have had in the Fast and the Furious. Reason being, well, in the start of the movie, he had an Accord and then somehow it switched to an EG. The EG had a wide body, but I don't know. This is the car he should have had. Anyway, carbon fiber wasn't as big back then, I guess, too, in the defense of Craig Lickerman, who built a lot of movie cars. Anyway, I'm ranting. We had a problem. So before we go too far into spending thousands of hours on this thing, this is the thing I should have done before, but it was like minus 30 out here and I didn't want to do it. We're gonna find out why it's smoking so bad. So we could rule out a few things right off the hop. We can rule out, let's move this over here. We can rule out things because it doesn't do it when it's just sitting there idling cold. It has to get warm. Now, it is a turbo car, so it could be the turbo itself. There's ways to rule that out, and we're gonna get into that today. So the first thing we need to do is fire this thing up so we can actually see what's going on here. And you know what's funny? I was looking for my key for like 10 minutes. It's been sitting in here for weeks. Weeks! That's right. So, as mentioned, it doesn't smoke cold. So we're gonna let it sit here for a bit and we'll come back when it starts smoking. Well, I think we can safely verify that that is smoking pretty good. Let's give it a rev here and see what happens. We'll open the hood up. I do have the exhaust manifold open right here. This is where the exhaust temp goes in. Now, this engine was free to me. If you did watch the previous videos, I took the D15 out, put in the D16YA, and then swapped everything over. So it was free to me, but let's see here. If we give it some revs here. I think we could safely say that's a lot of smoke. So next step is we're going to want to, sorry about the noise. I don't have the intercooler pipe on here yet, but what we're gonna wanna do is separate the turbo from the engine, because we can compression test this, we can leak down test it, but at the end of the day, if it's a turbo, we might as well just start there. So I'm gonna zip these bolts off for the exhaust manifold here, and then that should help us. We can run it again, rev it, and see. It's gonna be a little bit louder, apology to my neighbors in advance. Something worth noting quickly, one reason I suspect it could be the turbo, this turbo's been sitting for years, that's not good for the seals. Second of all, it's never had an air filter on it, again, not good for the seals. So definitely could be the turbo. Now there's no point in separating the turbo from the downpipe, because if it's the problem's happening in the engine, it's still gonna pass through here. So we need to separate it at the engine itself. Ooh, she's a little bit warm, boys. So let's pretend for a minute it is a internal engine problem. What could it be? Well, it could be a number of things. It could be the rings, which I'm not completely sold on, but it could. These engines are already well known for those issues. And the rings, if you don't know, go around the pistons, seal the oil in the crankcase from the, God, it's hot. And oil in the crankcase from the combustion chamber. Now, what else could it be? Well, valve seals are a good possibility. Now, I'm kind of going against the valve seals. Holy shit, that is tight. So it could be the valve seals. I don't think it's the valve seals. Reason being, it would probably smoke from sitting extended periods. It's been out here for weeks and didn't smoke until it got hot. That's one reason I kind of think it's the turbo, is that the oil is leaking into the turbine housing and then it's needing to warm up before it smokes. Because if this is the combustion chamber, there's fire instantly. It would heat up pretty quick. That's just an educated guess. So you guys should drop me a comment before we get to that point in the video and let me know what you think. Oh man, who put these on here? Oh wait, I know, I did. Now, here's the problem. If it's a turbo, it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. Turbo, easy to replace, and relatively cost effective, if we can find a used one. If it's an engine, well, they're about the same money as a turbo for a D series. We need to tune regardless because it's not tuned. And a little more time to change, but actually not a whole bunch. This entire engine will come out of this car in about 40 minutes. So it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, whether it's a turbo or internals in the engine. Now, low key, I'm hoping it's a turbo because I can change it in about 10 minutes. I'm about 3 minutes into this video and it's almost off. So it all depends on how things go, I guess. We're gonna find out right away though. It is hot. I would have had this off if I wasn't burning my hands every 2 seconds. Now for the less mechanical end of the group, I have separated the turbo from the engine. Now, yes, we do still have oil going through the turbo, but what we don't have is heat. And heat is a contributing factor here. Now, we had blue smoke. So blue is usually an indication of oil. White would be an indication of coolant or water, and so on and so forth. Black could be too much fuel, but we have, in this particular situation, blue smoke. Now, because I care about my neighbors and their feelings, and I'm a nice guy, I went online and looked up on Statistics Canada as to what is the most common day everybody works, and it is Tuesday afternoon. So I chose Tuesday afternoon to run this experiment. It's only a little 4-banger, 1.6 liter, but it's gonna make some noise, and I respect my neighbors. That guy's home over there. He's gonna hear some noise. So we're gonna see what happens here. We're gonna fire this thing up, and hopefully it doesn't take the full 10 minutes it took before to get smoking, but I guess we're gonna find out. And if all is good, we will have no smoke in a perfect world. Here we go. Oh, that's not even loud. I think it might have been louder with the turbo on it. All right, after, hold on a sec here. All right, so after the same 10 minutes running, we have zero smoke. So one more thing we can do with my glove that's covered in epoxy. Work very good, but we're gonna see. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna lift this on here like this, like that. Now the nuts that are in my pocket here, you can't tell my right hand's actually burning right now. I'm super masculine and tough, so it's hard to tell. So we're only gonna put 2 of these on here. What we're gonna do is we're gonna start the car and we're gonna get some heat in there. Once some heat in there, we're gonna pull it off and see if the smoking stops or if it continues to come out of the engine. See what happens. Fire this hot rod up here. It's just a slight exhaust leak down there. We're not going to worry about that. Well, I got no smoke back here as of yet. I do have exhaust flow though, so we'll just give it a few minutes here. All right, so we're back at our same 10-minute mark, although the engine should be significantly hotter than it was, being it's run for 30 minutes now. And what we're going to do, let's see if we give it some revs. All right, we got lots of smoke out there. We got lots of smoke up here. Let's see what we got here. Let's take this thing off while it's running. Well, where do we go from here? Ooh. Is it yelling? So where do we go from here? Well, I'm not even gonna go any further into it because these engines are so easy to come by. It could be rings, could be seals. Why mess around, right? As soon as you start tearing into the internals of that, it could be a head gasket, which I suspect it's not. Do we compression test it? We could compression test it. Might be smart to compression test it. All right, we'll compression test it.
2 seconds later.
You know what? I changed my mind. We're not gonna compression test it because I'm not gonna spend time on compression testing it when I don't plan on taking it apart anyway. I can get another engine for cheap. So we're gonna hit up Jordan and Fred up in Edmonton, Alberta, and we're going to see if they have a D16Y8, and then we'll just drop it in here. It'll take 45 minutes. You can drop an engine in here faster than you can do a head gasket. So in the meantime, while we're doing that, we're gonna get some other stuff done on the car. I was thinking of tackling the interior, but as you can see, I haven't even looked at this side of the car yet, and there's so much work to do here. Maybe I should have just kept it as a stock car. Just restored it as a stock one. There's no fun in that. This is much funner. It's a bit of an adventure, and I like making a journey for you guys watching the videos, so we'll go with that. Anyway, we're gonna see if we can source out a D16Y8, and if not, then I guess we'll compression test this. In the meantime, let's get on with the rest of the video. All right, guys, we're back. So as we know, the engine is bitched in this thing, so there's not much we can do with that right now. What we don't know is if the side skirt we made for the EG Civic actually fits the car. Now, you sneak preview right here, that is what the car is gonna look like. It's gonna be pink, red with the carbon on it. I think it's cool. Now, I did title the video, the car Hector should have had in the Fast and Furious. Hector definitely wouldn't have driven a pink car. There's no doubt about it. He was way too gangster for that. But I think it's pretty cool. So we're gonna build the wide body still on the EG Civic. We're gonna end up getting an engine for it at some point. Unfortunately, I just put that engine in there, but I can't complain. I didn't pay anything for the engine. So no harm, no foul. You know, I spent a couple hours swapping it out. Not a big deal. Although I did put a new timing belt on it. But what are you gonna do? We're gonna take it off. So what we're gonna do today, we're working outside. It's beautiful outside. It's 12 degrees Celsius. What we're gonna do is we're gonna see if the side skirt fits on the car, and we may even paint that door if I'm feeling ambitious. But to start with, I do know I mounted that fender a little bit too low. I did that intentionally at the time. We need to lift that fender up, and then we're gonna see if the side skirt fits. Then we're gonna have to find a way to see if the side skirt will mount to this, because what I didn't do, and I'm gonna show you guys, is account for how to mount the side skirt. So that's unfortunate, because if you look at the original side over here, I originally just fired a sheet metal screw into the side like that to hold it on there temporarily. And that's right, we have this entire side to go. We have so much work to go. So funny enough, it is car season right now, and I'm the only guy in car season currently working on his car. I'm the guy right now I made fun of. I think it's a Honda thing. I never had this problem until I started taking interest in Hondas. My buddy Donovan, he's always behind on his Honda projects. In fact, I just took on an Acura Integra of his that's been sitting since 1942, I think, because that's how old he is. We're gonna get cruising on this. We're gonna get some work done and see what we can do. We're gonna deal with the engine on another day, probably off camera. I don't know. We're gonna find one first. I already hit up Jordan, see if she's got one, and we'll go from there. All right, let's get ripping. All right, so we're gonna find a better system after to mount this, but for the time being and sake of argument and fitment, we're gonna run some self-tappers into it. This back fender is not completely secure anyway. Oh, as you can see there, it's moving around. So I think we're in the ballpark there. All right, let's see what we can do here. Never thought the day would come where I casually drill into carbon fiber. So I think what we're gonna do to permanently mount this is we're gonna do a nut cert on the body side of the car and a bolt through here. I could do a rivet, but I don't think it's as clean. Did it drop on me? What the fuck's going on here? And then we're gonna have to build a bracket on the other side to support this. I need to go get a drill is what I need to do. I'm just getting this front fender back on here, guys, and one thing kind of funny but minor. So originally when I built this kit, this was supposed to be flush like that, which is still doable, but just puts a tremendous amount of pressure on it. But I think I can get it to work. I just have to put a bolt in there, and then we can get it bolted back on there, I think. But yeah, it's kind of getting close. Let's back up. I'll show you guys what we're looking at here. So it looks like that. So we're getting close. I think maybe I will paint that door. It'll take me a couple hours, and then at least we can kind of see what we're looking at here. Like coming along. Looks pretty cool. It's only one in the world like it, so that's cool, I think. All right, well, I'm gonna get a bolt in there, and then I think I might paint this door. Oh, it's just hours of work I don't want to do, but all right. So I've got things looking pretty good here, I think, to a point of where I'm relatively comfortable with the fitment, sort of. There's some things to do yet, but overall you can start to see it coming together, and I think it looks pretty cool. I don't know, I'm on the fence. I may paint that door yet. It might happen on camera, it might happen off camera, I don't know. I don't like the idea of butt matching and painting one panel at a time, but it's a non-metallic paint. It's super easy to do, so it may happen off camera. I don't know. Going to the back here, things are looking pretty good though. If you were new here, I did leave this open on the back. This was supposed to be closed in, but I messed up the mold, so it is what it is. So So you can kind of see now how things are starting to come together. Things are looking good over here. There is still, obviously, like I said, some fitment issues I need to work out. But I think it's gonna look cool. That carbon should pop good once things get going. So that said, let's start taking apart the front end here. Now, before we get into the front end, one thing I forgot to mention, I do have the intercooler and all the piping for that turbo system that I have not put on there. I was on the fence whether I was gonna run a turbo. I actually have a buddy with K20A3 swap that I was gonna put in the car. I think the D series would be cooler, same as the hood. Now, let me ask you this. Do we do a full carbon hood on it, or I actually have right here, I'm making a window hood like I did on the white EG Coupe. So we could do a window hood with the window in it and it's still carbon on the frame. It's pretty cool, might look cool. Or do we do the full carbon hood? I'm kind of on the fence. I think I like the idea of doing the window hood because I have one sitting beside me. We're gonna get back to that. But for now, let's get this bumper off. Let's get the intercooler mounted. Let's cut out the grills. Let's get the splitter mounted on there. And let's get the lower piece of the wide body off the Civic EG and see how we make out here. Alright guys, we've got this all cut out, ready for the intercooler. I've got the carbon chin over here. I'm gonna have to make some carbon fiber here, make some carbon fiber there. I've got the intercooler sitting here. The front bumper's all off up here. Things are getting close, but if you guys want to see the rest, you're gonna have to tune in next time because I need to get to work and don't have time to play with my camera. So I will see you on the next one.